I was so excited I could hardly sit still on the drive over. I had spent months planning this family reunion, booking the venue, organizing food, even arranging travel for some relatives. Every detail was perfect. It wasn't just another gathering. It was a chance to finally feel connected, to bring everyone together like we used to when I was a kid. I paid for it all myself, every last bit, because I believed it would be worth it. I believed family was worth it. But when I arrived, the parking lot was empty. My heart sank a little, but I figured maybe I was early. I walked inside, expecting to hear laughter or smell food, something. But the room was silent. No decorations, no people. Just empty chairs and the sound of the air conditioner humming like it was mocking me. I called my mom, thinking maybe plans had changed and no one told me. She picked up right away, and when I asked where everyone was, she just laughed. Not a nervous laugh. A real one. And then she said something that made the bottom drop out of my stomach. I stood there holding the phone, frozen. I looked around the empty room again, the balloons still floating sadly near the ceiling. The name tags no one would ever wear sitting untouched on the table. All the effort, all the money, all the hope. I was starting to wonder if it had all been a joke. Or worse, if I had been the joke. What my mom said next changed everything. And I wish I could say it was for the better. But the truth is, nothing about this day turned out the way I expected. She said, "Oh honey, you really thought everyone was coming?" Like it was the funniest thing in the world. I couldn't even respond. I just stood there, phone pressed to my ear, feeling this weird mix of confusion, embarrassment, and anger start to bubble up inside me. It wasn't just the empty room. It was her tone. The way she said it, like I was naive for even trying. I asked her again, where was everyone? She said they had all known about the reunion, but no one really wanted to come. "It's summer, people are busy," she added casually. Then she laughed again and said, "Besides, you always try too hard." That sentence hit me harder than I expected. I always tried too hard. Like caring was something to be ashamed of. Like trying to bring the family together was some kind of weakness. But this wasn't just about trying, it was about giving. I gave everything to make this happen, and no one even bothered to show up. Not even her. I sat down at one of the folding tables and looked around at the empty room. I remembered how I used to love family gatherings when we were younger, before everyone got too busy or too distant. Back then we'd sit around laughing, sharing food, playing music. I thought this reunion would bring some of that back. I thought maybe, just maybe, it could heal some of the distance between us. But instead I felt more alone than ever. I started wondering if I'd misunderstood everything. Maybe the idea of family I'd been holding on to didn't exist anymore. Or maybe it never really did. I didn't know what to do next, but I knew one thing. Something was definitely off. And this wasn't just about people being too busy. I sat there for a long time just listening to the silence. It wasn't the kind of silence you get when you're alone, it was heavier than that. It felt like the air itself knew I'd been stood up. I kept staring at the door, half expecting someone to walk in late, laughing, carrying a dish of something homemade. But no one came. The clock ticked. The ice in the cooler started to melt. The food I'd ordered was still warm, untouched. And I just kept thinking, how could they all know and still not show up? I scrolled through the group chat where we'd talked about the reunion. Or rather, where I'd talked. Looking at it now, it was so obvious. I had sent message after message. Planning details, menu options, reminders, updates. The responses were all short. "Cool. Thanks. Let me check." But no one ever gave a firm yes. Somehow, I had taken their silence as quiet agreement. Wishful thinking, maybe. Or denial. I texted my cousin Jenna, the one I thought was closest to me. No reply. I called her. Straight to voicemail. Then I checked social media. That was a mistake. There she was, tagged at a lake with a few other cousins, smiling in swimsuits, drinks in hand. They weren't busy. They had just made other plans. That's when the sting turned into something sharper. Not just hurt, but betrayal. They could have told me. They could have said, "Hey, we're not coming." Instead, they left me here to find out like this, piecing it together from photos and silence. That was the part that got me, how easy it was for them to just not care. My mom called again, probably expecting me to laugh it off. I didn't answer. Instead, I looked around the room at all the effort I had put in. The centerpieces I'd made myself. The banner that said, "Family is everything." The table with framed pictures from old reunions. My childhood was in those pictures, camping trips, birthday parties, Sunday dinners. All those memories felt like lies now. I started to wonder if there was more to this than just people being flaky. Had something happened that I didn't know about? Was there a conversation I wasn't a part of, some reason everyone quietly agreed not to come? It almost felt orchestrated, like maybe I'd been left out on purpose. That thought sent my mind spiraling. Had I done something? Said something? Or had I just always cared more than they did, and this was the final proof? And then there was the money. I didn't grow up with much, and covering everything for the reunion wasn't easy. I dipped into my savings. I told myself it was worth it, that moments like this were priceless. But sitting in that room, alone with unopened sodas and uneaten food, I couldn't help but feel foolish. Like I'd invested in a dream no one else believed in. Something about this whole situation didn't sit right. And the more I thought about it, the more I felt like I needed answers. Because this wasn't just a no-show. It felt personal. And I was done pretending it wasn't. I packed up the leftover food slowly, my hands moving on autopilot while my mind raced. Everything still felt unreal. The empty chairs, the untouched plates, the silence. It all pressed down on me like a weight I couldn't shake. I kept replaying my mom's voice in my head. You really thought everyone was coming? And then that laugh. That cold, distant laugh. I didn't know what hurt more. Her words or the fact that she wasn't surprised. Something was wrong. It wasn't just a failed event or people being careless. This felt planned. Or at least agreed upon behind my back. I opened my phone again, scrolling through messages. Then I noticed something I hadn't seen before. My aunt had sent a voice note a week ago. I hadn't opened it. Maybe I missed it in the flood of other messages. With a deep breath, I hit play. Her voice was low, hesitant. Hey, I just wanted to say I think you should talk to your mom before the reunion. There's been stuff going on. I don't think it's fair that no one told you, but I can't really say more. Just ask her. You deserve to know. My chest tightened. Deserve to know what? Suddenly, all the tension snapped into focus. This wasn't just about flaky relatives or bad communication. Something had been kept from me intentionally. And not just by one person. There was a reason they didn't come. A reason no one said anything. And whatever it was, my mom was at the center of it. I grabbed my keys and walked out to the car, my heart pounding. I wasn't going to wait for answers anymore. If no one wanted to tell me the truth, I was going to find it myself. And I was starting with her. The drive to my mom's house felt longer than usual, even though it was only 20 minutes away. My hands gripped the wheel tighter with every mile. I wasn't sure what I was walking into. But I knew this wasn't just about a missed family reunion anymore. There was something deeper, something people had been avoiding, hiding. And I was done being left in the dark. When I pulled into her driveway, everything looked normal. Her car was there. Porch light on. Wind chimes clinking in the breeze like nothing had happened. But inside me, everything was storming. She opened the door like she'd been expecting me. No surprise in her eyes. Just that same calm look she always gave me when I was about to hear something I wouldn't like. I figured you'd come, she said, stepping aside to let me in. I didn't even sit. I went straight to it. Why didn't anyone show up? And what's going on that I deserve to know? Her face didn't change, but I saw something flicker in her eyes. Regret? Guilt? It was hard to tell. She walked over to a drawer, pulled out an envelope and held it out to me. You should read this first, she said quietly. I opened it and immediately recognized my dad's handwriting. He'd passed away 2 years ago. My heart dropped. Inside was a letter addressed to me, dated 6 months before he died. And then she said something I'll never forget. He asked us not to tell you until the right time. I guess no one could agree on when that was, so they just chose not to come. I froze, the letter in my hand. Everything I thought I knew about this day, this family, this reunion was about to change. My hand shook as I unfolded the letter. Just seeing his handwriting again made my chest tighten. The house was so quiet I could hear my own breathing. My mom stood a few feet away watching but saying nothing. I started to read. In the letter, my dad apologized. Not for something small, but for keeping a secret. He wrote that years ago, during a rough patch in their marriage, he had fathered a child with someone else. A half-sibling I had never met. He said he had spent the rest of his life trying to do right by everyone, but he was afraid the truth would destroy what was left of our family. In the letter, he asked my mom to tell me when the time was right. He wanted me to understand, not hate him. I stared at the page, numb. All the distance, the cold replies, the silence from my cousins. It suddenly made sense. They had known. Everyone had known. They weren't avoiding the reunion. They were avoiding me. Because I was the one left out of the secret. The one still living in the version of the family that didn't really exist anymore. I looked at my mom. "So who is it?" I asked. She hesitated, then said, "You've met him." My stomach dropped. She walked over to the table and slid her phone toward me. There was a picture open. It was from a birthday party last year. I was smiling next to a guy I'd assumed was a friend of a cousin. We'd talked for hours that day. "That's him," she said quietly. "His name's Ethan." I stared at the screen, my mind spinning. All this time I had been searching for my family, not realizing part of it had already found me. I sat there staring at Ethan's photo, the pieces finally clicking together. He had been kind to me, genuinely interested in what I had to say. I remembered how easy it was talking to him, how natural it had felt, and now I understood why. There was a connection neither of us had known at the time, or maybe he had. I turned to my mom, trying to make sense of everything. "Did he know?" She nodded slowly. "He found out a year ago. Your dad told him before he passed. He wanted to meet you, but we weren't sure how you'd take it. Everyone thought it would be better if things stayed quiet for a while." She paused. Clearly, that didn't work out. I didn't know whether to be angry or relieved. All the hurt from the reunion, the loneliness, the silence, it wasn't because no one cared. It was because they were tangled up in something they didn't know how to handle. Still, that didn't make it right. I left my mom's house that evening with the letter in my hand and 100 thoughts in my head. I texted Ethan. Just a simple, "Hey, can we talk?" He replied within minutes. "Been hoping you'd reach out." We met for coffee 2 days later. There was no dramatic reunion, no tears. Just two people trying to understand what family means when everything shifts. We talked for hours, this time with the truth between us. It didn't fix everything, but it was a start. The family I thought I knew might never come back the way it was. But that day taught me something important. Sometimes the people who show up quietly are the ones who matter most. And sometimes, a broken story still has a way of coming together.